How's it going, everyone? So, with the Green Bay Packers looking for their next defensive coordinator, reports were that we interviewed Christian Parker, who was the defensive backs coach for the Denver Broncos. Then, a few hours later, it actually came out with more rumors and reports that we potentially offered him the defensive coordinator position. So, who is Christian Parker exactly? So, he is the defensive backs coach for the Denver Broncos and was actually kind of a big reason of why in the beginning, how that defense looked like one of the worst defenses in football, especially after getting put 70 points on by the Miami Dolphins. And then, well, we're not going to say us because our offense was in flux, but you can kind of say, starting with us, that defense started to turn around because we barely put up points against them. And they looked like a top-fledged defense, although it also seemed like our offense was just terrible. But that defense kept getting better and better, and it was a complete 180 for them. So who exactly is Christian Parker? So he's actually a little bit familiar with the scene in Green Bay. He spent 2 seasons under Matt LaFleur and Mike Pettin and served as their defensive quality control assistant, who pretty much focused in the secondary, the cornerbacks, and safeties. And then he went over to the Denver Broncos, spent a year under Ejiro Evero, and then with Vance Joseph, pretty much earning his job every single time. And so he hasn't been just stuck under one type of defensive scheme. And he's learned a bit of different defensive schemes, which makes him a bit flexible and not just stuck under maybe a Vic Fangio defense, which has proven to not be very good and actually didn't have good success last year across the board. Now, because he's actually been under multiple type of defensive schemes, it's kind of the question if he was to accept and if he actually was offered the coordinator position, what type of defense would he run? And we're not exactly sure. He's never been a defensive coordinator before, and he's super young. I didn't mention he's 32 years old. He's just a very promising up-and-coming coordinator and hasn't called any plays at any level. So this would be a first for him. So we don't exactly know what type of defensive scheme he would implement, but it seems like he's very adaptable. Now, we have a tweet from Taylor Keynes, who is a Patriots beat writer, because, well, he did also interview for the Patriots defensive coordinator position. There are reports that they're going to go in a different direction, and it won't be Christian Parker, which just leaves us currently interviewing him. So what Taylor Keynes said on some insight on Christian Parker, and he wrote while interviewing some of the Broncos staff, for sure, he's been here a while and has been a huge part in the secondary, obviously with their technique, but he's also a big part of their defensive structure. Especially this season, Peyton wanted to bring in Vance Joseph to run a blend of his defense and the Fangio defense, which he's never been in. So Parker was practically teaching the defense early on while also teaching Vance on the finer details of it. You can watch the defense start to take form as the season went on. Early, it just looked like a bunch of jumbled up concepts with no philosophy, and they found their identity midway through the season. One thing that was notable for me was how the DBs for the past few years have played a sort of passive and safe style of coverage and tackling, but when things this season were really bad, him and VJ flipped a switch and started to emphasize playing the ball in the air and when they tackle as well. So I think that says a lot about how adaptable he is. And just from that excerpt, it sounds really great that he's able to adapt and doesn't entirely want to just constantly play off the ball and can have this aggressive type of play style, because, well, that was a very big gripe with Joe Barry's defense and the Vic Fangio defense entirely. It was like, it's 3rd and 3, we're going to play 8 yards, 10 yards off the ball. Like, of course, they're going to run a stick route or an out route or a slant to get an easy first down. It made no sense. And having an aggressive cornerback and an aggressive defense, it's something a lot of us will probably want. And it also kind of is a little bit reminiscent how they're talking about first half of the season, their defense looked like a mess and they didn't know what they were doing. But in the second half, they started getting rolling and started executing and started to become a top tier defense. And that sounds kind of like our offense last year during the entire regular season. Yeah, we had a good first game, second game, but for the first half, Jordan Love looked terrible. The offense looked terrible. The receivers didn't know what they were doing. We didn't know what was going on. Then in the second half, something just clicked and we became one of the most potent offenses in the league. So just reading that about the defense, it kind of came home a lot to me about, hey, first half we're just learning, second half we started gelling and it started being a lot better. And so it remains to see if we actually did offer a contract to Christian Parker and if he's going to accept it. But it sounds like he is going to, it's going to be a bit of a risk. Like there's no track record on Christian Parker as a defensive coordinator. You can be a great coordinator or a great safety coach, cornerback coach, linebacker coach, but a bad coordinator. Or you could just continue moving up the ranks. So if he's offered a position, that's definitely going to be something we're going to probably be eagle eye, and we're going to have to give him some grace on this. And if the Packers actually did offer Christian Parker the position, he ends up accepting it, we're going to have to realize we're going to have to slightly temper expectations, at least for the first half of the year. Because I know if it doesn't go well in the first quarter of the games, we're going to be wondering what the heck we're doing. Because, well, we saw that with the Packers offense, where in the first half, we were getting very frustrated and we're ready to throw this entire team out the window, but they just needed some time. There's no tape on Christian Parker. No one really knows what type of coordinator he's going to be. So this will be a big risk if we go down this route, especially in a window where we are once again feeling like this is our time for the Super Bowl. It's very reminiscent of during those Aaron Rodgers years of the first 3 years. Like, we need to make a move now that's better for now. And going the obvious route of going for one of the more experienced coordinators seems safe and sensible. But if we did that same, because I was definitely in the boat initially with the Aaron Rodgers, if we kept that same mindset and we kept Aaron Rodgers, would we have made it as far as we did this season? Would we have known about Jordan Love? Probably not about Jordan Love. I was definitely in the boat of not trading Aaron Rodgers last season. Wanted to go for another Super Bowl run. I was wrong. We traded Aaron Rodgers away. We went with Jordan Love, and we saw a better team, which is insane to think about. We saw a more Matt LaFleur type of style offense. We saw Jordan Love blossom. I know for me, this has been one of the most fun seasons, especially in the second half, that I've had in a long while. Yes, we lost to the 49ers, but that second half has been extremely fun. So let's just not knock the fact that, yes, he has no experience as a coordinator, but he's a bright mind that has a lot of potential. That worked for us with Matt LaFleur because he was kind of the same boat. There was a lot of knocks on LaFleur. So this could be a good hire. It might not be. We won't know till we actually see it. But I'm a bit excited about this, kind of reading up on who Christian Parker is, what he's about. Him having multiple styles, and it could be an aggressive defense. I'm all for an aggressive defense. And it sounds like he's able to adapt to his players, which will be a good thing because, well, he's going to have to be adaptable. It's something Joe Barry couldn't seem to do. And we're just looking for something that pretty much doing what Joe Barry couldn't. Adapt to the players he has on his defense. Play aggressive. And, well, if he has those, then he could be a good hire. Players love him. The coaches love him. So he's got that going for him. So we'll see what happens. But let me know what you think down in the comments. If you like the video, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. And as always, go Pack Go.